Let's recap last night's Spurs Bulls game. No surprise they lost. And we're going to bring in the doctor. Dr. Ryan McCorkle's back. We're going to discuss Bassey and Wembanyama's injuries.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Sprint.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. TGIF, everybody, and Merry Christmas. Hope you all have a great Christmas ahead with your family and friends, and be safe. We'll see you next week on Locked On Spurs. You can find us on YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, Spotify, iTunes. The list goes on and on. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You want to check out PrizePicks ASAP. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use that code. It's going to be all lowercase, LockedOnNBA, for a first deposit match up to $100. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking back at last night's Spurs Bulls games and give you my takeaways from that game. Then we're going to bring in our guest, Dr. Ryan McCorkle, and his sons. His sons joined the show. And they're going to be talking about, doctor is, about Bassey's injury. What can Bassey expect, or really probably gone through? What exactly was that right ACL injury? What's it entail? And then calm nerves, fans down. He's going to talk about Wembanyama's recent bout when he sat out the game previously against Milwaukee with right foot soreness. So he's going to talk about that and why you should not be worried about that whatsoever. But about last night, your Spurs, man, they lost. They hung in there for about three quarters, and then the wheels came off. Losing to the Bulls 114-95. Spurs fall to 4-23 on the season. The next play, the Mavericks. So what are some takeaways? Well, one, turnovers. I've been really proud about this team. I've been looking for incremental growth, coming out of that horrid 18-game losing streak. And one thing that was been doing well for the Spurs is minimizing turnovers. You only have like 8 versus the Lakers in that Laker stand at the Frost Center, But Spurs did it themselves. They coughed the ball up 19 times for 20-plus points for the Bulls. They ain't going to cut it. And so that was the biggest takeaway. You just hope that, or at least I hope they don't fall into that trap again of doing 20 or more turnovers. We already had several games this season where the Spurs had 20 or more turnovers in just one game. It's got close, 19, but you don't want to give those easy buckets away, especially with the Spurs not getting back on transition defense. 20-plus points for the Bulls off the 19 Spurs turnovers, not good. Hopefully that doesn't rear its ugly head. There's a one-off thing, crossing fingers. Second takeaway is Wembanyama. He was very communicative with his teammates versus Chicago. He was talking to them more. It looked like he was trying to instruct them more on the court. I think that's good for the young kid. He was on a minutes restriction. Popovich made that very clear after the game because he was coming off that right foot soreness game. But you saw him really talking to his teammates. There was a fan that was at the game, and according to that fan, he messaged me on X that that's true, that Wemby was being very, very chatty and talky with his teammates. I think perhaps demanding the ball, maybe trying to guide them, trying to get out of this funk that they're in. Either way, it was good to see him barking a little bit more at his own teammates. He is a franchise player. He's just 19-year-old, but if they say age is nothing but a number, he is their guy, so he's stepping up in that department. He finished with just 7 points and 5 rebounds in 22 minutes. Again, on a minutes restriction, but a lot of fans were upset that Wemby's teammates were not finding him the ball. They were not giving it to him. They're saying, you're 7'4", you're in the play, just give it to him. There was a play where Sohan clearly had Wemby at the rim, and Sohan passes over Wemby to, I believe it was Keldon Johnson. So things like that are not sitting well with the Spurs fan base, and maybe it was not sitting well with Wemby as well. We saw him being a lot more aggressive, dunking, dribbling, trying to get to the rim. So yeah, not a good outing statistically for Wemby, but nevertheless he was on a minutes restriction. So keep that in mind. And the final takeaway is just offensive drought. The Spurs went through a bad one in the fourth period. Collectively, in that fourth, they went 11 for 20 for 55%. They went 2 for 6 from the three line. Not going to cut it, NBA and 95 points ain't going to cut it. Popovich talked about that post-game, saying they had 3 good quarters of scoring, and then they fell off the track in the fourth. That's, this is, again, rinse repeat here. Offensive droughts. Spurs went through it the worst time. They were in it. They were in the game for most of the game until that fourth period where they just couldn't buy a bucket. Chicago, 16 for 20 or 80% in the fourth. So 55% to 80%, and you're in a close game, and it was a close game for most of the game, then that's going to be the difference right there. So a lot of turnovers, poor offense at the end of the game, and then Wembanyama barking at his teammates, being a lot more communicative with them. And hopefully the Spurs will find him more than often. You look at Wemby, he only had 8 shot attempts for the night. 8 shot attempts. That's it. That's all he had for the whole game. So that's not going to cut it. You got to give your guy, the guy on the roster, the ball. Spurs didn't do that. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. There's your quick Spurs update / recap. Again, they got the Mavericks this Saturday in Dallas. Tall task ahead of them with Luka Doncic ahead, but hopefully the Spurs will get that win. They're on a 3-game losing skid right now. Coming up next, we're going to have Dr. Ryan McCorkle. He's going to join us. We're going to be discussing Bassey's injuries and why Spurs fans should take a deep breath and relax. And Wemby's right foot soreness isn't that much of a big deal. That is coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. I want to talk to you about BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, everybody can use some therapy at times. Look, times get rough, holidays, depression, what have you. And sometimes you need to know that there's somebody there for you in case you do need to talk with somebody. That's why BetterHelp is there for you. Look, give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA and get yourself your way to being the best you that you can be. Look, talking about things can be tough. I get it. You're trying to figure out, for the holidays, what do I get for my family? What do I get for myself? The hell times are just great times where you're just having all your stuff go through your head. Yeah. And it can get real chaotic. And again, BetterHelp is there for you. Look, if you've ever benefited from therapy, why not try it again? If you're off it, go back on it with BetterHelp. So whether you've been in therapy personally or want to restart it or get your first toes dip into it, that's where you have to go to BetterHelp right now. Look, learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, what empowers you to be the best version of yourself. That's where BetterHelp is there for you. And look, if you experience major trauma, again, go to BetterHelp. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist, switch therapist at any time for no additional charge. It's the season of giving, so give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with the gang, the McCorkle gang. Look at that. Dr. Ryan McCorkle is back, and brothers Lila and Finney. Glad to have you guys back. Everybody, this was supposed to happen earlier this week, but we had some major technical issues, and we had to get it rearranged. So we finally were able to get Dr. Ryan back. His kids are here. We're all going to start talking about Spurs injuries, Bassey's right ACL injury, Victor Wembanyama dealing with some right foot soreness. What does Doctor have to say about that as well? Make sure to follow him on X at AustinERDoc. And you do it right now. He is a medical doctor with the St. David's Hospital emergency room, as well as the Backstage Concierge Medicine Practice. He'll talk about that shortly. Doctor, thank you for doing this again. Sorry about the technical issues the last time.
Thanks for having us, Jeff. Happy to do it.
Yeah, before I forget, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope you all get everything you want.
Happy holidays to you and yours too. Appreciate you having all of us.
Yeah, and I think your stocky stuff. Let me guess, sneakers. That's what you want. Not just take a wild guess. Just a wild guess.
I have enough, but it's a never-ending habit.
You can never.
All right, we'll talk about that and what's behind Doctor in a bit. And I'm pretty sure Finney and Lilo, they'll be chiming in about their thoughts on their dad's sneakers and whatnot.
This is intervention. Yeah.
Is it intervention? Yeah. I'm pretty sure Finney's going to be talking to me about Demon Slayer in a bit, maybe.
That's right.
There you go.
Muskie's up there. I can say a little bit, but not much, and my brother will interrupt me and be like, "That's not all accurate." So.
All right, we'll save that for in a few minutes, but let's get to it. Dr. Ryan, Charles Bassey, he's out for the season with a right ACL tear. If you could describe to the listener / viewer what the ACL does for the human body and whether the severity of it. I think you showed me a picture of exactly what happened to that knee. Just go into some detail about what exactly did Bassey suffer.
Yes, I shared that the detailed animation of how it kind of works in the knee with movement. I'll reshare that too when we do this. But the anterior cruciate ligament is the major ligament that connects your femur bone, your thigh bone here, to the large bone in your lower leg, the tibia, and it keeps it stable. So a lot of times when athletes tear the ACL, it doesn't cause a lot of pain, but what it causes is the knee to feel very unstable. So anytime that they make a cutting motion, the knee, you can feel these two bones in your leg move, and it's a very disconcerting feeling. And athletes that are in any kind of cutting sport, so running backs in the NFL, and especially basketball players who are doing a lot of start, stop, and going to the basket, really can't function without their ACL.
Right. Yeah, and the animation you sent me, I didn't realize it was like within the knee. I had this conception that it was outside, like a ligament connected on the outside. It's actually inside where the joint is, correct?
That's correct. So on the outside, you can feel there's a large tendon there called the patellar tendon. That's the one that you can feel on the outside. Behind that and inside the knee joint, you have the anterior cruciate ligament, the ACL. You also have the PCL that's behind, and then the lateral collateral on the outside and the medial collateral on the inside. Those are the four major ligaments that keep our knee stable, but the ACL is the one that's most commonly torn, especially by basketball players.
Yeah, what I found interesting, Doctor, was that Bassey played the entire game. He had himself a night. He had 30 points. He had 10-plus rebounds. And at least the video didn't show exactly where or when the injury happened, but he seemed fine. Maybe there was a slight limp as he was leaving, but other than that, it sounds like it is really an injury that you can tear and not even realize.
Absolutely. So while the adrenaline's still flowing in the middle of the game, it may just feel a little odd. Like I said, it's not a whole lot of excruciating pain when it tears. It's when the adrenaline wears off after the game that they realize anytime they're trying to change direction, it feels totally unstable, like the knee's going to dislocate because there's not that ligament holding the upper bone to the lower bone anymore. That's why it's got to be repaired. It happens much more often in players who drive to the basket and change direction a lot. It occurs less often in players who are kind of stationary three-point shooters.
It's a dumb question, but I'm pretty sure it also impacts players' leaping ability, the explosion part of their game.
Yes, especially if you're explode, like making a sudden stop and then exploding. Anytime that you're doing a sudden stop is where those bones will start to move where they normally wouldn't, and it's an extremely disconcerting feeling.
You mentioned adrenaline a little while ago. I always get amazed about the capacity of the human body. You know, how it pumps that adrenaline gland to get going, and it'll keep you going until it wears off. I guess adrenaline is a powerful thing. It
absolutely is. It can make you overcome a lot of things, but only in a short term. Can't maintain that over the whole course of a season. There are some really rare exceptions to people who have been able to function without anterior cruciate ligaments, and the one that's cited most often is the former Spur, DeJuan Blair, who was able to play for several years with no ACLs in either knee. Nobody knew until after the fact that he had torn them most likely back in college at Pitt. but played several years in the NBA with no anterior cruciate ligaments. But that is by far an extreme outlier and not something that anybody can really do currently in the NBA.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember when he did come out into the NBA draft, all stuff. That was a big knock on him. Why he probably fell a lot in the draft, but nevertheless, he had somewhat of a good run with the Spurs. I don't even know where he's at. I think the last thing I found out, he was with the G League team, but I don't know if he's still with that G League team. But nevertheless, yeah, it looks like Bassey, is in for a long rehab. We're going to talk about that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. Dr. Ryan's going to tell us exactly what type of procedure Bassey may likely undergo to repair that injured right ACL. We're going to talk about Wemby's injury and maybe Finney, maybe Demon Slayer a bit.
Yes, I would love to.
All right. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
But before we continue our chat with the good doctor, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. You want to go to PrizePicks right now, everybody. It's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Look, it's just you against the numbers. You have to worry about the pros, the sharks, a bunch of people, playing against you because it's just you versus the numbers. That's it. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players on their stat projections, and then you can start watching the winnings roll in. So, for example, let's just say you dive into PrizePicks, you get the app, and you're like, okay, what can I do? What kind of fun can I have with this? Well, let me tell you, they have something called the Specials League. So what you do is you pick combo projections across 2 leagues. So, for example, football and basketball. So let's just say you do a combo projection on Keldon Johnson and Travis Kelce. And your combo projection is 10.5 combo on 3-pointers made plus receptions. You win that, you get yourself some cash. So if you want to play along some of the PrizePicks favorite players like rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz, you can even do that on the PrizePick app right now under Community Plays. That's some of the promos tab of the app. You can view entries from some of the biggest names in PrizePicks community each week. And PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. What more do you need? Go to PrizePicks.com. Download the PrizePick app right now. Look, go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA. You'll get yourself a first deposit match up to $100. That's PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. I also want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's in the 21604 area. They have a wide selection of drinks from the Red Bull infused the Lightning Bolt series to the OG. In case you don't know what that is, that's the Orange Julius from the 70s and 80s, back recreated only at Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. They have the Alien, which is in honor of Victor Wembanyama. And for UTSA's Frank Harris, as he sails off, they have the Sub-Zero drink. You can toast him on a job well done at UTSA. They have it all. They have mini donuts. They have the signature drink Mudslinger. They even have dairy alternatives. They have a friendly staff, and they're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and the first ever local sponsor of Locked On Spurs, as well as a great community member. And speaking of that, they love to involve the fans. You pitch them a new drink, and guess what? They'll even name it after you. Not kidding. They've done that already for several fans. You want to go on social media, on Threads, X, TikTok, Instagram, pick a platform. They are there at Mudslinger SATX. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now. San Antonio, life is too short for bland coffee.
This is Zach Aguilar, the voice of Tanjiro Kamado, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Dr. Ryan McCorkle and Finney and Lila. What's going on, guys?
We're doing well. I'm better than.
All right.
Yeah, and we're talking all things Spurs. We're about to get into details exactly what Bassey could possibly be going through for his surgery, and then get into some Wemby talk, sneaker talk, and maybe some Demon Slayer. I know that's going to make Finney very happy right now. All right, let's get into it. So Bassey is out for the season. Spurs did announce he's going to undergo surgery. What likely is the procedure that Bassey's about to face, or probably did face already?
Yeah, so it's an ACL reconstruction of the anterior cruciate ligament. So that involves drilling a hole, that's what they call a tunnel, into the femur, into the tibia, removing that torn ligament, and then replacing it with one of three options. You can take a piece of that patellar tendon that we talked about earlier, which is that big tendon you can feel in the front, using that as a replacement ACL. You can take a piece of the hamstring, the large muscle group you can feel in the back of your leg, use that as a replacement for the ACL, or you can use what's called a cadaver transplant from a deceased body, take the ACL out of that, and you put that in as your replacement ACL. So those are the three options that they use for replacing the ACL.
That's fascinating. I didn't know about the cadaver option. Threw me off when you said that. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's where they have people who donate their bodies. Is that part of that process there?
That's correct. And a lot of times that's one that players will want to use because it won't weaken their patellar tendon or their hamstring by taking a piece of it. Use the cadaver, and they don't lose a piece of any of their other muscles or tendons.
And how does that work? Like, I'm gonna sound dumb here. What do they use, like glue or something? Like, how does that work? Like, they stitch it in? Like, how do they actually connect it?
So you drill those tunnels, and then they use metal anchors. So that it's actually drilled and then sewn into the bone. So
wow.
So it's attached to the bone just like your native tendon would be on both sides, which is why it takes quite a while to heal. It's a season-ending injury because the bone anchors and the sutures have to heal so that the ligament is as strong as it was before.
Got it. And you hit on the head of the next question is the length of time he'll be out. I'm assuming this type of procedure pushes him to probably next season's training camp.
Absolutely. He's going to be training camp next year. So for the first 2 weeks, it'll be no motion, or it'll be passive motion. They have these machines that will actually move your leg like this for you. Without you having to use any force to kind of maintain the range of motion of the muscles around it, but you won't do anything. After 2 weeks, they'll let him get up and start walking with a brace on. After about 6 weeks, he'll be able to walk on his own, start to take the brace off. But we're talking 3 to 6 months before you can even do any light jogging, and then about 9 months until he's going to start doing any kind of explosive, lateral kind of basketball movements.
Yeah. It's just a shame this happened to him. He got a pay bump from the Spurs. He was just coming off that patella injury last season. He was finally starting to get into the rotation, being that reliable backup for Wemby, and then wouldn't you know it, this happened. So just some bad luck there. Hopefully he'll have a smooth recovery and be back on the Spurs court next season. Hey, speaking of Wemby, Wemby has sat out now officially his second game a couple of days ago versus the Bucks. He's been dealing with right ankle soreness. Look, a lot of Spurs fans are freaking out, doctor, so you know how they're going to get. Can you help calm down Spurs fans who are nervous about this recent injury? What exactly is right ankle soreness? Why did the Spurs sit him out the last game? And ahead of the game versus the Bulls yesterday, they listed him as probable. Is it just them being overcautious because he is their franchise player? What do we got going on here?
Yeah, it's not. They haven't diagnosed a sprain. Not out for an extended period of time. I mean, everybody needs a game or two off every once in a while. We've talked in previous years about the rookie wall, so we're getting to that 25 window, and between 25 and 40 is the most that most of these players have ever played in a season. So giving them a night or two off. I mean, anybody who even just plays at the Y knows after you play 2 or 3 days in a row, you're going to have some ankle. So these guys playing against NBA competition, yeah, you can use a night to rest the ankles, ice, elevate, and take a night off. It's not serious. And it's a lot less anxiety provoking for Spurs fans that it's not a foot problem. That's the thing to worry about in players of Wemby's size. Ankle soreness happens to every basketball player.
Awesome, man. And it also was compounded by that. I don't know if you saw that video of him going for a rebound or trying to get a ball that's going out of bounds, and he landed awkwardly, and you saw the ankle kind of twist under him, and he was able to bounce back from that and keep on playing. So Spurs fans, and it happened to be the right ankle too. So Spurs fans are like, are you sure it's just soreness? And they're sweating and they're nervous. But there you go, everybody. Dr. Ryan's going to put you all at ease. Wemby should be okay. He is fine. Just load management. And yeah, doctor, he is their franchise player. You want to be extra careful with him, huh?
Absolutely. I think you saw the other night with Jason Tatum. I think all of us who even play recreational basketball, or if you played at any level, when you see that ankle turn on camera, it's a visceral reaction where you just get nauseous. But we saw Tatum the other night. You saw on the screen him step on somebody else's foot, watched it turn, makes you feel nauseous, that Pavlovian response. But he was able to come back and play the rest of the game. He's the Celtics franchise player. So when it happens to Wembanyama, you're going to roll an ankle every once in a while. But it's mild enough that he's only missing a game with some soreness. Not a big deal.
Absolutely. So breathe easier, everybody. Wemby should be okay. Knock on wood. Hey, doctor, it is the Christmas holiday, and I see Finney with a Santa Claus cape there, and your other son. What is it?
It's a cloak.
Good enough. But hey, doctor, I see you're sitting in your sneaker closet. This is the legendary sneaker closet we speak about in past shows. And then now we're going to combine two topics here, sneakers and Demon Slayer. Everybody, we're about to nerd out. For those of y'all who don't know, Demon Slayer is a Japanese anime, very, very popular. Doctor has a sneaker with that theme, don't you?
Yes, Finney has a pair of Zenitsu sneakers. I don't think he brought them today, but they are Air Jordan 1 inspired, handmade Zenitsu from Demon Slayer, his favorite characters. And you can see in this one, this is Lolly's favorite character, Inosuke.
Inosuke, yes.
He's so silly.
That's not Inosuke. That's my
Inosuke. The other one we have up here is Lolly's favorite, which is Amore from another Japanese video game.
It's Japanese.
So Amore and Demon Slayer are their favorites.
There you go. Yeah, and then there, look at those sneakers. I mean, they're just awesome there. How many pairs do you have in there?
90,000.
Let's see. Well, the kids have their, courtesy of Blink-182, their Super Mario Brother.
Oh, that's a cool one. Yeah.
Handmade customs. And then Lolly, you show them your sneakers, is wearing the J Balvin ones.
Nice.
So they have their sneaker collection. And mine is up to about
97,
14,
you said
21.
I think we're at about 60 pairs. So now it's one in one. If I get a pair, I got to sell one.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I mean, that is an amazing collection. So, but there you have it, everybody. Bassey's injury, per Dr. Ryan McCorkle, what he expects or probably expected to happen for Bassey in his recovery time. And breathe easy, everybody. Wemby will be okay. Doctor, we know you got a lot going on, the holidays and whatnot, but tell us about backstage, St. David's Medical. What's all going on there?
We have a lot of shows over the holidays. We're doing a lot over at Moody Center. So we said we're just Pentatonics was just giving us a call to go over and take care of them. Doing some IV fluid visits for a lot of the artists that are coming through town to visit. Folks can also follow me at Austin EM Doc on Instagram and Threads, and find me there as well with a lot of what we're doing with Backstage Medical. Still working in the ER, both at Austin Emergency Center and also at St. David's Medical Center. So always busy even through the holiday seasons. And we're getting tickets for these guys to go to VidCon so they can.
Nice. Nice.
It's funny and all that stuff. So we're excited.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Exactly. Merry Christmas, kids. But no, I mean, again, Dr. Ryan, I thank you for working with me. Sorry again about the audio and video mess ups earlier this week, but we had to get you back. And by the way, Inosuke is my favorite, though. Inosuke is my favorite.
As he should be. He should be. It's all right. Wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having us back.
Not a problem. Again, he is Dr. Ryan McCorkle. You got Finney and you got Lila there. They are here on Locked On Spurs. And again, make sure to follow Dr. Ryan on X at AustinERDoc and on Instagram, AustinEMDoc. And he'll chat with you about injuries, all that good stuff, sneakers. Trust me, he'll talk to you all day about sneakers. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get a podcast, YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, iTunes, Spotify. The list goes on and on. We'll be back probably next week, Tuesday, because of the Christmas holiday, talking all things Spurs. Check out Locked On Sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Just Google it or YouTube in the search, and you'll find it there. Subscribe. Good times. So for Dr. Ryan McCorkle, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.